Hello, Longhorn Nation. Great time to be a Longhorn. Not a better place to watch a game in town than Dirty's. About 100 years old. We just came into 99, so come see us. Come see us win this natty, men's and women's basketball. We got it here. Hook 'em.
Good protection. It's for Kayla Louis. Touchdown.
Our defense won that football game for us. We were struggling. They gave us a chance. They gave us an opportunity at the end, and somehow, some way, we pulled it out.
55 seconds to play.
How about that? Steve Sarkisian back in his days as a Brigham Young Cougar, the quarterback, the QB1. Man, I remember that like it was yesterday. He got to play in the Cotton Bowl and led BYU to a 14-1 record and a finish in the top 5 in the country of that 96 season, the same season in which Sark and BYU beat Texas A&M. I believe it was up in Provo, Utah. I am Sean Clinch, the host of Stories Inside the Man Cave, and of course, let's talk about it, this series. And this series is brought to you by, in particular, Honest Plumbing and Air, but a big shout out to each of our sponsors, Jim Saxton State Farm, Dirty Martin's Place, an iconic Austin original, which celebrated it's about to celebrate its 99th year. Hargrove Roofing, know who's on your roof, and of course, Honest Plumbing and Air, as I mentioned, where a handshake still means something. Man, today is the day. Later tonight, Sark will return to the Cotton Bowl Classic game, but not inside the Cotton Bowl Stadium. Since 2010, it's been at Jerry World in Arlington. Will the Longhorns knock off Ohio State to play Notre Dame for the national championship? Let's talk about it. All right, the formalities are done. Texas and Ohio State have been in the DFW Metroplex for the last 2 or 3 days. All the preparation is done. Now we're here. We are here finally after all the talking, everything. The Buckeyes and Longhorns will play for a spot in the CFP National Championship game to meet Notre Dame, who beat Penn State in a great semifinal game last night. Wow, this is thrilling. And all the talking's done. Now you got to prove it on the field. Before we get going, be sure to follow us on each of our social media platforms, Facebook, IG, X, and subscribe for free to our YouTube page and to our TikTok page as well. I appreciate it. And, share it, all the content with your friends, family, whatnot. Tell people about it. Follow, comment along. Man, we've had a good time with this since the CFP began. All right, here it is. CFP Final Four. Texas and Ohio State, 2 of college football's blue bloods. But unfortunately, there has been a couple of tragedies and more important things than any college football game. And Steve Sarkisian, the Texas head football coach, addressed that, namely the fires in LA, which has been really tough to watch. I've had 2 friends, one of which lives on the south side of Pasadena, about 6 miles. And he took a picture and showed it, and it was paper burned, basically an ember from one of the fires on the north side of Pasadena, which floated all the way to his yard, 6.5 miles south of Pasadena. It is the scenes, the video, it's absolutely just depressing, and you feel for each of the families and everyone involved. And Sark made a point to talk about that before anything about this game.
What is happening in Los Angeles right now is unfathomable. Being from Los Angeles, a lot of friends and family there that are affected. And so I just hope everybody out there can keep their thoughts and prayers with those, and obviously those in New Orleans with some of the tragic events that have occurred.
Yeah, it's been a really tough couple of weeks here in our country. Mother Nature, people with bad intentions, and I really hope that everyone involved is blessed with some type of closure and comfort, because this is unnecessary and it's really hard. It's been hard, but I will say college football is a good outlet. As for the game, Ryan Day, the Ohio State coach, who's honestly been through the ringer from the Ohio State fans because they got beat by Michigan. Well, they made up for it, and he was quick to point out this game and the opportunity to play a great program, a storied program like Texas.
Very, very talented, well coached, played in big games before, and so it's a great opponent, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. Our team's very, very excited about playing in it.
Yeah, and everyone's excited about this. Everyone. I mean, between the weather in Dallas-Fort Worth, which right now, depending on what time you're seeing this on this beautiful Friday, it's still going to be cold, not as cold. And I'm sure there's some snow and ice on the ground, the remnants of those storms which rolled through the Metroplex and other parts of Texas. Of course, back in Austin, it was miserable, cold and rain. But now we can focus on the game. Everyone there, I hope, made it safely. I know there was a few stretches of the Dallas-Fort Worth area where you had to take it slow, and because of the sliding on the icy streets. But, one topic is, why is UT's defense, in particular, since the CFP started, you look at the two games against Clemson and Arizona State, well, they found soft spots in that Texas defense, which we didn't see during the 12-game regular season. Well, Michael Taft, the pride of Westlake High School, who is arguably one of the best or the best safety in America, an All-American, former walk-on, by the way, if you haven't heard that story, he gave a good reason, and it's because you have smart coaches. All of these college football playoff programs have amazing coaches, or they wouldn't be there. And Michael Taft really gave a great explanation as to why this Texas defense has given up more yards than normal, because it is a top 3 defense in the country.
Yeah, just communicate. Just communicate with one another. I think you got 10 days to prepare for each one of these games. Arizona State had 20 days to prepare for their game. And so, you have 15 games on tape of what type of schemes you run. And so I think, with every defense, there's always, a beater to a defense. That's why defense coordinators are always on the sideline throwing their hats, throwing their headsets down, because there's always some type of beater to every single defensive scheme. And so, when you have that much tape out there, all the games that we've played, and 10 days to get ready for that and to scheme a defensive back group, then I think that happened.
Yeah, great explanation from Michael Taft. And if you really look at Ohio State's, their body of work, resume, so to speak, I mean, after that loss to Michigan, a team in which Texas beat early in the season, big rivalry game. It is heated. It's a lot of hatred, whatnot. But they regrouped. But Ohio State regrouped and absolutely dominated Tennessee and the 1 seed Oregon, and really got after them quickly in the first quarter. I mean, jumped on top of them so quickly that both Tennessee and Oregon basically said mercy. Oregon did make a comeback, but he's right. Michael Taft is right. You have these coaches, you get more and more tape on film, and you're being exposed. So every defense, as he says, has a weakness. It's a matter, can you expose it? Ohio State's front 4 defense, number 1 in the country, total defense and scoring, Ohio State says. But this is something that Texas can use or is probably in their game plan. It's all about the countering what the opposing team's game plan is. And on offense, they have so many weapons. Quarterback Will Howard, the former Kansas State quarterback, who's been really good, over 3,500 yards of total offense this season. Jeremiah Smith, an incredible, freakish, will be a superstar on Sunday's receiver. That's going to be interesting to see that matchup tonight. Him against the Jim Thorpe Award winner, that being Jahdae Barron. So, and there's so many other players I'm not mentioning, but you would like to think that if Texas maintains the edge and limits the Ohio State big plays to 3 or less, and defense has to force turnovers to make up for what Ohio State is scheming for, that has given the perception through the stats that this Texas defense has become a little leaky. And Texas on the offensive side has to do what they have done these last 2 CFP games, and that is jump on their opponents early. But Joel Klatt, he'll talk about that when we get to the second segment, talking about that and the trends of both Ohio State and Texas, what we've seen from the eye test and statistically. 2 teams going different directions, but you could also say a win is a win. And that's what's so exciting about this matchup. None of us know. None of us have any clue of what's going to happen tonight. Plus, you got Texas, an underdog. I still believe if you're a Texas fan, you want this Longhorn team, you want that point spread in Vegas to keep rising. Because I think this team plays really well when they're doubted, and they've proven so many, many times in the not too distant past. I mean, just remember Alabama last year. No one gave Texas a chance. This is what the beauty of this is. And a trip to the national championship game on the line. Before we hit a break, there was I think Sark made a really good response when he was talking about this new era of the CFP to the 12-team format. I love it. Tell me what you think. I really want to know what you think. Hit me up on Twitter about this new 12-team format. I think it's great. I think it's going to get better. I think we're going to have the opportunity to see more on-campus games if they can expand to 14, 16 teams. But, there are no undefeated teams. And that's the product of the era of name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal. And Sark gave his response, and he's not wrong.
I mean, Coach Day's done a great job. He's got a tremendous staff, great talent on their team. They've navigated the season tremendously. I think in this day and age of college football, to think that you're just going to go unblemished is probably not realistic.
Not at all. Not at all. If a team does go undefeated, if your team is that team that goes undefeated, unless you're just too deep of future NFL studs that are all fully developed, that's not a good position to be in, to be undefeated, in my opinion, in the CFP, because you are ripe for an upset. That's just my opinion on that. We're going to take a quick break here on episode 445, and on the other side, we're going to talk about predictions and reasons why Texas or Ohio State will play Notre Dame in the national championship game. I'll see you on the other side of this break. Honest is a strong word, and we all need honesty when it comes to plumbing and HVAC needs. Somebody who will take care of the repairs efficiently and with quality. Honest Plumbing and Air is who I trust, and they take pride in that word. Honest Plumbing and Air, where a handshake still means something. The Saxton name resonates in Austin. Jim's late father, James Saxton, is a Longhorn legend, a Heisman finalist while playing for Darrell K. Royal. And Jimmy is a UT football legacy from Westlake. He has been insuring Austin for decades. He and his staff will give you old school hospitality when servicing your insurance needs.
all 14 Texas, man. Hook 'em, baby.
That's Texas Longhorn wide receiver signee getting ready for the All-American Bowl, the top high school football talent in the country, Jamie French. You saw it. He's predicting a big Texas win. You could call it an upset, but according to how they're seated, it's not an upset. And also, it's not out of the question. Texas will roll in this game. You've had enough time in between the last CFP games and the semifinal. You have time for both teams. Injured players who are questionable are playing. Like Cam Williams for Texas on the O-line. He will be playing. And other players, everybody's banged up this time of year. But that time was necessary for every player on every team. So you really don't know. I know on paper, and I even said it before the year, that top to bottom, Ohio State is perhaps the best team in the country. I'm not going to waver on that. But like Jamie French, the Texas Longhorn signee, I still believe anything can happen in this game. In Arlington, a place where Ohio State has experience playing, but Texas does too, having won the Big 12 championship at Jerry World last year. But Joe Klatt, a guy who I really respect, the former Colorado quarterback, he's a good analyst. It's just a question he talked about, and he was just spitting facts of why he thinks Ohio State has the upper hand in this game.
Texas has to survive the first quarter. Ohio State jumped out 21-0 on Tennessee, then 34-0 on Oregon. Those are the leads in the first two playoff games. If that's the case, it's a wrap. Both of those games were a wrap. Tennessee was not coming back from a 21-point deficit. Oregon was not coming back from a 34-point deficit. That is not happening.
Okay, he makes a valid point. And the beauty of this is all the talk, all the storylines. And I know in some matchups, you just don't match up well against teams. But I think this Texas team responds to adversity so well. Ohio State is playing with that me against the world type approach. They've been hearing the criticism since they lost to Michigan. And look what they've done. And they have some dogs on that team. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But Texas is seasoned. They have a lot of guys who are going to be in the NFL next season. By the way, this friend of mine right here, the Sty, and he looks better today. It's a matter of days before this guy is gone, and I look like I didn't get into a big fight, get my butt kicked or anything like that. But the Sty is almost gone. But man, I'm really leaning toward Texas. I really am. I was really I thought the season was perhaps going to end tonight up until yesterday. Then I started thinking, this underdog role is significant. I'm going to take Texas. I know I said it in the prior episode. I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be 23-17 Texas. These defenses are going to get after each other.
Hey, Ben, tell me something good.
Hey, tell me something good. We love ending on positivity. And I got to, Quinn Ewers, he'll go down as one of the best quarterbacks, easily top 10, perhaps top 5 in UT football history. We know a lot of these players, they, NIL era, are paid very nicely, if you will. But he was talking about what he does with his NIL money. And this is something not only good, but great.
Just being able to give back to my parents. And I actually have I get to pay my mom a salary, which is nice, just because, all the effort and work they put into me growing up. I mean, when we were living in South Texas, they both quit their jobs and moved up to Southlake. We really lived in the Grapevine area first, and then just for them and all the work that they put in for me and my two sisters even what I give back can't describe how thankful I am for everything that they do for me.
Man, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Shout out to you, Quinn Ewers. And I know there are probably more players like him. His mom is his only employee, and she manages his finances, which is a good thing. And, it's being smart. And, when he went to Ohio State by reclassifying, not playing his senior year at South Lake Carroll for Riley Dodge, reclassified, reported to Ohio State midway through camp, was a backup to or one of the backups to C.J. Stroud. Learned a lot, and Quinn has plenty of ties to these current Buckeyes. Don't forget that. So there's that element, and I can't wait. This is going to be a beautiful day leading up. Can't wait. And, man, the Cotton Bowl, college football playoff semifinal, man, Texas and Ohio State. Man, hit me up with the comments on Facebook, on the podcast Facebook page, Instagram and Twitter. Let's talk about this and with this episode, because I would love to hear what you have to say, man. Cheers to you. Cannot wait for tonight. And it is, man, I'm absolutely blown away, because Notre Dame barely got by Penn State 27-24. They are awaiting the winner between Texas and Ohio State. So whenever you have an opportunity to talk college football and the CFP and the Longhorns and Buckeyes with a chance to play for the national championship, it's always good to talk about it.